Mike Norvell's having to do a lot of recruiting stuff. So he was on RG3's podcast back in October when Florida State was 1-5, and talked a lot about how changing the message and trying to turn things back around for the program. And a lot of that is going to have to do with recruiting and these relationships. He talked a little bit about what he's having to say to some of these guys. He said, I can't guarantee that every day is going to be 75 and sunny, but I can guarantee who we are, what we're going to be about, and where we're going to challenge guys to be on the field, off the field, classroom, community, everything in the building them into the man I know that they can become. He said, if you're willing to sign up for that, well, you might have a play where you get knocked on your butt, or you're going to jump on your ass up and get better. That's who I want to be around. I want to be around those guys who are going to inspire others, who are going to be the spark, be the solutions, the ones that are going to be the ones that run out and go and become all that we can. I've got a lot of confidence that we've got those guys and we've got them coming too. So, like I said, this was back in October. RG3 released this episode, last week. So certainly a little bit outdated. And so when talking about, and quote, we've got them coming too, some of them are leaving at the moment. But still, nonetheless, he also brought up to Florida State going 13-0 last year, brought up some guys too that have been successful as rookies in the NFL, which we're going to talk about here in just a little bit. But, the recruiting message is one that I would just love to be a fly on the wall just to hear what that has to be, just because of what it has always been under Mike Norvell, is the climb to get back to where Florida State as a program should be. And you got close to it. You want to reach that national championship caliber place that FSU should be at, but you don't get into that college football playoff. But now having to hit a full reset, the biggest reset almost that Mike has had to do, it's interesting to start hearing these messages. And I'm interested to see too, Dustin and whenever the rest of the guys are out there by the more, hearing some of these recruits talk, and just to get a gist of what that is sounding like right now, because it is an interesting place for not only Mike to be, but also to understanding what staff is out and the new staff coming in and how that message reflects with those relationships.
Yeah, I think you definitely have to kind of adjust that message this offseason. I mean, obviously, the climb is still going to be the program message for the most part in Tallahassee, but it's just got to be adjusted a little bit, because it obviously seems like there are some things that aren't clicking with the amount of guys that we've seen depart from Florida State's class throughout the season. And, obviously the losses are piling up, coaching changes have been made, but still to have your quarterback who's been committed for that long flip, even if it's maybe not the biggest loss in the world for Florida State and some of these other guys that have jumped off the boat, it's hard to see, because this recruiting class as it stands, sitting around, I want to say number 44 in the country, and we're not in the summer anymore. We're a week from the early signing period. A lot of this stuff is done. I know Florida State, they're trying to make some last minute runs at guys, but we'll see how likely some of that stuff is as we get a little bit closer to next Wednesday. But right now, I mean, this is stacking up to be by far the worst recruiting class that Mike Norvell has signed at Florida State, that Florida State has signed, period, in, I mean, decades. So something's got to change. I mean, the 2026 class right now for FSU is still looking pretty good, top 10 in the country, but they definitely have to look in the mirror, re-strategize a little bit, and we'll see what they're able to do over the coming months, because, Florida State, with the way that this is looking, they're going to have to be active during the February signing day as well. I mean, this is a scenario that's going to need to be addressed here quickly these coming months.
Yeah, no, that. Now, when was the date previously for whenever early signing day was? I forget what date that was.
It was more towards that like second to third week of December. It's been moved up by a good amount of time this year to be right there, following the regular season before the conference championship games.
Mm-hmm. because I'm just thinking of what Florida State has to do. So they're on the search for 2 coordinators. I mean, already put in that perspective is not easy to do at all. Usually, whenever this is going on, when you're looking for new both sides of the ball coordinators, that's usually because a whole new staff is coming in with a new head coach. But Mike Norvell is staying, but he's got to find 2 guys, and he's got to be able to try to recruit, but also doesn't have confirmation fully, not that we know of, or not set in stone, of course, because a lot of these coaches are currently still coaching for their programs and could have a lengthy postseason as well. So the timing of all this does not help at all with anything. And it's definitely a really sticky situation that Mike Norvell and a lot of their off the field staff and, Florida State athletic director Michael Alford, there's got to be a lot of strategic planning here for this game plan of trying to salvage anything and also try to go and grab recruits for this class. But it is certainly a little worrisome, in my opinion. It's a little worrisome.
It's not an easy way to operate, especially when you've got a 5-star offensive lineman committed who does not have an offensive line coach at Florida State right now. It's hard to be that guy and, be comfortable signing with a program you don't even know who's going to be your position coach, let alone your offensive coordinator in Tallahassee. So, I mean, we'll see if Florida State's able to get some of these moves, I wouldn't say done in the next week, but enough so where maybe they could inform some of the recruits of which guy they're expected to bring in, or out of these 3 guys, it's probably going to be one of them, something like that. But for this to be the first year where this is happening, where it's moved up, it's terrible timing for Florida State to have to be making all of these changes at the level of magnitude that they are having to do.